So welcome to another Top Flight show. We've got quite a bit to discuss, as always. So, we're going to do a bit of a what's going on in the world of athletics and a bit of an update on Top Flight, including the big announcement about the 2025 dates. And then, we can recap Fulham and look forward to the series finale at Ribble Valley, which is absolutely loaded. And I'm gonna drop one straight in here. Oh, by the way, hello Cameron, hello Rich.
I'll tell you what, he gets worse with the introductions.
Yeah.
Normally,
it's becoming
we've
too
got
comfortable,
Rich and Cameron on the couch with us today, and Stacey. Now we're not even getting a mention.
Yeah,
it's disappointing, isn't it?
It's because
it gets worse.
Too
it's gone to his head. The power Top Flight's gone to his head. Absolute diva.
Yeah, Stacey's on holiday. I've never seen her not on holiday, actually.
Yeah.
I swear she's literally been out of the country for the last 3 months. She comes back for a few days.
She only comes back to do the Top Flight show. Yeah.
I can understand that.
She's not a UK resident anymore.
We fly her in, non-dom. Anyway.
Expenses.
Stacey would have loved to get involved with this one, because I know she's seen it and she dropped it in, but this Treadmill World Championships.
I didn't realise we were even going into that, but let's go on.
What's that all about?
I don't know, man. It's I don't know. I get that it will appeal to the masses. I think it depends on how it's marketed. I think if it's marketed well, it could be good. But the thing is, it's not going to, because it's a World Athletics event. You're not going to be able to wear sponsors all over you like triathlon. You know, if you look at the triathlon, they do theirs on the curved treadmills.
Yeah.
And then they obviously run in the pool, and then they go on the the turbo. So then I think that's a pretty cool concept, and it seems to be took off quite a lot, quite well. But I think it's different, isn't it, with running?
I don't mind the idea of, say, an equivalent of when you're on when you're on a Peloton or what bike, and you have a Zwift and you race other people.
Yeah.
I don't mind that concept. That doesn't bother me too much. Actually, I think it would be quite fun. I think then when you take it to a next level where it becomes a world champs, then what does that do to the current sport of athletics and runners in there? Would they just transition over, or would you get solely treadmill runners? I don't know. But then also, what I like about athletics is it's one of a few sports around at the moment that pretty much anyone can get into. You don't need a lot of financial support to get into it to start with. I mean, I know the price of training is expensive, but I feel like it's an easily accessible sport. Whereas that just creates another layer not everyone can get on a treadmill and then train on a treadmill all the time. It just brings another layer to it that I don't know whether it needs at that top level, because there's too much other crap going on that needs sorting out before we bring in other championships into the sport.
Whether we need a treadmill championships, I don't know. I get the whole, like you said with the whole Zwift thing. If they can gamify the training and convert people to being runners or athletes who, at the minute, they do some running but just in the gym. I did see some stats that female runners are way more likely to run on the treadmill than outdoors, for example. So if it's to do with that, to some extent,
that's a good point.
That sounds good in terms of increasing participation, but I don't think it's a good idea at the very top level, because it's not for me.
No,
I'm sure it'll be for some people, but not for me.
I feel like there's too much going on at the top level that needs sorting out. The more money being funneled into creating a treadmill world championships, why can't we sort out the big drugs problems that are plaguing the sport? I feel like they're more pressing issues than the treadmill world championships right now.
For me, that's not the format. And also, I do like that there's ideas coming through, but the Michael Johnson format is the other thing to talk about, because he sort of released this week how they're going to do it. It's going to be 4 venues, 3 days worth of athletics, and then you're sort of grouped by broadly by discipline. So if you're in the long distance group, you've got to run a 5k, and then 2 days later you've got to do a 3k, And again, that format is just not for me. Or if you're in the middle distance group, you've got to do an 800 and then come back and do a 1500. Or if you're in the 400 hurdles, you do a 400 hurdles and a 400 flat, and you've got to do this every time. I understand to some extent what he's trying to do in terms of increase the familiarity of the athletes, and wants to have like a group of athletes who he can market and keep going so that people are tuning in because they're like familiar. But I don't like the closed shop side of it, and I don't think you need to do it like multiple races in the same weekend. It just becomes a bit too novelty for me. And yeah, it'll be great if it's a great success, obviously. But for me, he's onto some sort of right idea by saying, "Oh, I'm going to have it as a smaller focus." But you're never going to convince hammer throwers to like the 10K, and you're not going to convince middle distance runners or 10K runners to like hurdles and pole vault and stuff.
Yeah.
You're just not. You might have a broad interest. I've got a broad interest in a lot of, well, more than a broad interest in a lot of different sports, including all the athletics ones. But in athletics, we can have niche, and that's not an issue. You would be way better focusing it on a much narrower event group. So saying, okay, like the BMCs, so it's 8, 15 and 5K, but you've got 10 races in each one, so an A, B, C, D, right the way down. So you would have loads of runners, but it would be a hierarchy to get into that A race, right the way down. You could have the top 4 or 5 races could be world level, and then the next 4 or 5 races down could be national level, and then you could rotate that around. And the people who would watch it and engage with it and want to do it would all like all of them events. So you'd get a very strong niche following, and then you would bring these events together at the World Championships and the Olympics. I don't think you need to be for everybody all of the time. It just, not
it's
for me.
box ticking, isn't it? I think, I think that the biggest thing with like increasing engagement is the whole marketing side of it. And I think that's where they're going to excel. You know, he's already said, they've already expressed to the public now, as well as the athletes, that we don't care if you have your sponsorship on your foreheads, on your thighs, on your arms. We don't care. You can dot them anywhere you want. That's where the money is.
Yeah,
and that's where the money is with any sport.
Yeah.
But then it's like, if I was to say to you, if darts was marketed like the way that either IAAF markets athletics, in terms of the crowds, the restrictions, what do you think the crowds would be like? Would you be interested in watching it? No, I don't think so. I wouldn't anyway, because there's essentially it's boring. Like it's boring. You turn up to an athletics meet and it's just full of people pack lunch boxes. Sat. It's true though. Like it's true. Like you turn up and it's just full of people sat down, and it's quite miserable actually sometimes to watch. And I'm an athletics fan, and if you literally like if you look at it, 10Ks aren't involved in this in the new track league, right? Which I'm not against that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I get why you've got to start niche and sort of build up. But look at the Highgate, the night of Highgate, the 10Ks. The reason why that is so exciting to watch, people just go down and have a beer and have a bit of crack with their friends.
Yeah, you're right.
And Trace, people, you're watching people who can't even break. We're gonna say can't break 30 minutes, for instance, on 10K. Can't break 30 guys who can't break 32 minutes for 10K. But you're sitting there having a whale of the time, cheering them on, thinking this is quite exciting because the atmosphere is amazing.
No, I'm glad you mentioned that, because when you were saying like a lot of athletics events, it's like packed lunch boxes in the crowd almost. The
empty
first thing that came to my
stadiums.
mind though was, but Highgate isn't. But then obviously, you're like,
but they're all empty. They're empty stadiums. Yeah. Like there's no use holding a Diamond League in an Olympic stadium, a former Olympic stadium, when only 5,000 people is going to turn up. Well, where's the atmosphere there? And I remember seeing years ago, watching a video of Dana White with UFC, and I mean what they've done is incredible, right? But I remember him it was to do with I think it was Paddy the Baddy. It said something like, we want to be and we get it at Anfield, we'll fill Anfield, and he's like, yeah, maybe at some point. I think Conor McGregor had said something about a stadium filling out a stadium in Ireland, and he was like, he was just like, I'd rather hold it. I'm not going to commit to that yet until I know the guarantee that it would fill it out, because I'd rather be in a smaller venue and fill the stadium out than be in a big stadium, because the atmosphere will be terrible.
Yeah.
But whereas it's like, we have this legacy of the Olympics. Well, it's great for the athletes. Yeah, it is. It's a dream to run in those stadiums. But ultimately, if you think of it from a business perspective, the marketing is just, it's just terrible. Like, do you want to turn up and race, or not even race, but do you want to turn up and watch a championship, or do you want to turn up and watch a Diamond League with some of the best athletes in the world and be sat miles away up on the top of the stand in an empty stadium?
I just think, like I just said before, you'd want to go if you were wanting to watch the events you wanted to watch over and over again. So say the Diamond League was at London, but it was all just distance events.
Yeah.
Then I'd be loving it.
Yeah, but I
you're
wouldn't
getting
go.
like 1500 meters and a 5k, and the people in the race, you don't really know who they are. You're not that bothered or motivated to watch it.
I wouldn't go. I still wouldn't go, even if, like, obviously if it was a world record attempt or something like that, it's exciting to watch. But I would honestly rather just watch it on TV than go into the stadium and watch it with a more limited view and have a terrible atmosphere.
Yeah. Do you watch it on do you fast forward though?
I always fast forward in Diamond Leagues.
I fast forward and watch the distance events, which not all the time. If I've got time, I will sit and watch more.
It just needs smaller stadiums, in my opinion, with
I'll
beer.
go and watch the ones I want to watch.
Alcohol. Like, I'm not saying I'm not promoting alcohol, drinking alcohol, because I don't really drink alcohol myself, obviously. But what I'm saying is, it should be that freedom to choose.
Yeah, it's about making it an event. Yeah. It's good
Imagine
that
all
there's
of us
lots of different
rocking up.
ideas, but it's just like...
I like the way that he's trying something different. I like that.
Yeah, I think I respect
I need to
that.
see it. I'm a bit on the fence with it. I get what you're saying about it, but then what Cam's saying about the brand and things like that, I think that's going to bring different element. I need to see it before I can make my mind up.
Need more money pumped in
sure.
for it to be more for the professional side to come through in the tech, and like for it to become more professional.
Yeah.
But then that's not going to cut. The money's not going to come for that without the sponsors, which is why it's so important. Rather than, the heads of the IAA Force living in Monaco tax free on hundreds of thousands of pounds a year, and then you've got athletes who can't even afford, who are actually losing money every year to train.
Yeah,
it's like,
I'm surprised with MJ's thing that he kept the 3k and the 5k in. I thought he would have chopped that and like gone for a couple of field events, put the pole vault and something else, because all I'm thinking is probably the most marketable athlete is somebody like Mondo Duplantis, who's got all his.
He can't save the field though, can he?
No, but that's what I'm saying. I'm surprised he went for the long distance events, because I don't think the people who are going to turn up and be interested in all these speed power events are also going to be interested in watching the 5k and guys run a 5k and a 3k 2 days apart. Anyway,
but there needs to be more shit. You need to be able to like talk more as well, because like
I'm not a fan of that, to be honest.
No, but like I'm not saying like you need to be disrespectful, but you need to have more freedom in what you say, because I want to see someone turn up and go, I don't like him.
Well,
I want to be. I don't like him.
What I will say though is maybe not like I get what you're saying. You don't want to see people like calling each other out, fingers pointing, getting each other's face.
No, it's not like that.
But
it's not
what I will
boxing
say is the build up to the Olympic 1500 metre final
there you
with
go.
Ingebrigtsen and Kerr was different because there was a little bit of needle there. And there wasn't much. It was a lot drummed up by the media. Yeah, I know that, but it's still brought. I'll tell you how I know it was different, because, and I say this about sporting events, I had people at work asking me who would never, ever have even heard of Josh Kerr or Jakob Ingebrigtsen.
Yeah.
Who do you think's going to win out? The Scottish guy, Kerr and Ingebrigtsen? Because I've seen they don't like each other, and I'm like, well, you've heard about that, and I think that's when you know something's rumbling a bit more.
There's no rivalries.
It is good, but then what happens if one of them's injured or both of them's injured? They've talked about nobody else, so you then got dead time. Like when the build up Bikili against Kipchoge,
isn't that the same as boxing though, when
run.
people get injured in boxing and then they drop out?
Yeah.
I'm not saying I don't. One thing that really like grinds on me is when they try and promote like in like a 12-man race, 2 people. Like in terms of like
that's what I'm saying. If
it's such and such v such and such, and then you look and then somebody else wins, and you think, how disrespectful is that?
They need to go more in depth. So
they need to put the whole field up there. Like,
it's good to build 2 up, but they needed to be building like 4, 5, 6 up.
Yeah.
Press conferences, for instance, like why are they not holding press conferences for like each event? Shorter press conferences for each event. So like again, UFC, like, and I'm relating to this because their marketing's very good.
Yeah.
Or even let's just say fighting in general. Like they don't like even the prelims are up there on the stage, and with their mics.
I think as well, we just look at it from a middle distance point of view. You can easily get a presser for 100-metre final.
Yeah.
Get them all up there, men and women.
Get them up there. It doesn't need to be for hours.
Yeah.
Just get them up there quick, fire some questions.
Yeah.
Feels like they don't know how to move on, do they? They don't know how to change.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll see if anybody's got any comments. And I guess it'll be interesting. It's something new, and maybe some elements of that will evolve into something better. And talking about evolving into something better, Top Flight 2025. So obviously everybody knows we're back, but if you're already on the email list, you will have got an early Christmas present of the Top Flight races for 2025, including a link to all the entries. So they are now all live on OpenTrack, and we'll put a link in the description. So we're back in Newcastle in January. Super flat course there. We're then going to Battersea for a 10k, which is a new course. We're in Battersea more than I probably would have initially planned to, but because it's such a flat, fast course, if there wasn't another option and there was a good Battersea one, we're back there. So Surrey Half Marathon, that was supposed to be in there last year, is again very flat. There are obviously other half marathons going on at that time of year, but we obviously with I think with stuff like London Marathon coming up soon after that, it was a good fit to put a half marathon in there. Last year we only had one half marathon in the end, so yeah, this time we're back to two. Back to Battersea in April, which is on an Easter Saturday. We look to make sure that we avoid like the 12 stage and stuff this time. So Easter Saturday means we'll avoid that. We've got our track races at Gateshead, Jarrow and Gateshead. We've got Shettleston 10k, which is Glasgow.
Oh wow,
that's class.
Yep. So Top Flight arrives in Scotland. That was the national 10k championship, Scottish national 10k championship.
Nice.
It's about time we got some good races up in Scotland, because you see a lot of Scottish athletes travelling down to like race in the northeast because that's the sort of next hotbed of good races for them. So I think it's brilliant that we've got a 10k up there.
We are working with the Babcock 10k series, which is Shettleston Harriers, Helensburgh and Dumbarton ACs respectively. So it's a 3-race 10k series that they've got up there, which is in May. So RunThrough's partnered with those, of which the Shettleston one is going to be Top Flight, which is on Glasgow Green. The reason it's the Shettleston one is because that's on a Sunday morning, the other two are Thursday night, so we thought in terms of like getting the strongest field assembled. It also is the same as like the English county championships on the track, so it meant that there was it fit well in the calendar. We're back in Battersea in June. So that's the third of the Battersea ones. Then back to Aintree in July on the Super Loop. Again, trying to find a good place in the calendar for that one compared to last year. So hopefully we've got that. Quayside in August, which is, I guess, the OG of Top Flight. We've got Cheshire Half Marathon in September, which is, as all the races are, World Athletics legal. There's some other half marathon options, obviously, in autumn in the UK, but not all of them have got World Athletics certification because of how your course needs to be. We're back to Jarrow in October. So for Jarrow, Omar vouched for this. Jarrow's, I think, potentially our fastest course in terms of it's so flat and straight lines. We clashed with the national relays when they changed the date, so we're 2 weeks after to make sure that we're not clashing at all. Fulham, we're back there after a sub-29 win. Obviously, that was an amazing race. So back to Fulham and then ending with Ribble Valley again. So it's a super strong series. I guess the hope of it is after the first maybe 2-3 years, we've got some dates established that like this is the race of the month in the UK that people are doing. So yeah, we may over the next few years sub races in if they're better, but if they're a better option, but all of those are really, really strong options. So get entering now. Any standouts?
I'm liking the tracks, to be honest. I mean, like Rich has just said, I think that it's good that we've got some a race up in Scotland because it is, you know, it's not great how Scottish athletes always have to travel down to England, and the English athletes essentially don't even bother travelling up to Scotland, and you always get good competition, and I think in most Scottish races, even like regionals and stuff, like everyone turns out. You know, most people love to race up there, so it's good to see that. But yeah, I think it's good. I like the track. I like the fact that you actually changed it to some track races in there for the top flight.
Yeah, so the track race obviously not like northeast based, because that's like me working with the England Athletics Regional Council and BMC. So yeah, we've discussed on here before that the BMC events, we hadn't had anything in the northeast for a while, but working with a few people who are like super keen to move the sport forward in the area. So we've got the first one's going to be really interesting. That is going to be a busy day for me, because we've got we've got Newcastle Gateshead Marathon, half and 10k.
Right.
So I've got to go from setting up the marathon, full marathon.
It's the same weekend.
Do a turnaround straight into the track race straight after. So we'll have more than 3,000 people doing athletics in Gateshead Stadium on that day, which is going to be class.
That's insane.
You know what I like?
Jarrow and Gateshead again, same as last year.
I like the range of events we've got here. Like, evenly spread though. A couple of halves in there. I think that's good. Right the way down to 800 metres on the track. A few 5Ks, a couple of 10Ks. I think that's great how we've got a good sort of span of events for athletes to dot in and out of. But I think the fixture that stands out the most to me is probably because we've all been around it a bit longer and know how quick it is the Quayside 5K in August. I feel like that has got so much potential, because it grows year on year anyway, but it has so much potential to be one of them like rapid 5K courses. We just need more and more front end coming through, both women's and men's. I think that's what it needs.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Actually, do you know what? I would be interesting, like, because there's not many 3K, really good quality 3Ks nowadays, is there? And like, if you get a good night at Gateshead in May, I've had a good few nights in Gateshead in May when I've been younger. A 3K, if you can get a really good pacemaker to take someone past 2K at like a fast pace at that time of the year.
Yeah, because so it's before the other.
Scrap
BMC
all the
Grand
prize
Prix.
money and just get some pair of a lot of money for a lot of money for someone to go far.
What I was thinking with that one is like it's the week before the county championships. It's a couple of weeks before the BMC Grand Prix. So an 800 and a 3K sort of fit in pretty well.
3K is spot on. It's spot on time
of year. Yeah. It's as if we know what we're doing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think
you just say so yourself.
Just in terms of like the geographical spread though as well, when you're saying about like the Scottish athletes, you would hope that when planning this, obviously there's a little bit of northeast bias, because that's where we're based, so that's where it's getting started from, and then the London bias, because that's where our main office is, right? So if you're an athlete based in the northeast or Scotland or even Yorkshire or whatever, then you've got 4 or 5 pretty close events. So you've got like home events really. You've got, if you're from the northeast, you've got the northeast ones and Scotland. The Scottish athletes can do the Scottish and the northeast ones as their home events. If you're London based or south based, you can get these London ones. And then if you're based in the northwest or like Midlands type way, you've got these sort of Cheshire, Liverpool events that are that direction. So yeah, I feel like it's a good geographical spread. And what we've done, like I've mentioned a few times, we've tried to liaise with Chris Barnes at Podium and then the guys who do Friday Night Under the Lights in Battersea, and try to make sure that we're working around them dates as much as possible. Yeah. So if they're putting a 5K on in Battersea, then we're trying to not do that. So you try to spread geographically and avoid the weekends. And the same with like a few of the Podium ones are like northwest to Midlands type way. So it makes sense for us to go like around and different distances. So there's a few similar-minded people who are working together on this. So hopefully it starts to make sense for everyone. And get yourself entered.
Well, on the note of the fixtures,
3K maybe.
We've got November Fulham 10K, which we had recently.
Yeah.
Cam,
what a belter.
Yeah. Cam, you're on the comms again, weren't you?
Yeah.
Turned up on time.
MC Triple B.
Yeah, you
giving
and
it some.
Stacey did a fab job.
What did you take of it? I actually watched on the sidelines at my daughter's gymnastics show. I was there with the 400. Yeah, you're doing great. Hang on a second.
Honestly, I was disappointed. Get your priorities sorted out. How dare you take your daughter to gymnastics?
I know, shocking.
Honestly, you owe us big time for that.
Bad dad. Bad dad support my daughter's gymnastics career.
I've got these new, them earphones that are like the vibrating things.
Oh, yeah, aftershocks.
So I had the aftershocks on one ear, and I had an earpiece for the parking team at Alton Towers on the other.
Oh, my God.
another walkie-talkie for like our event team and my phone. So I was trying to like be like over everything, make sure you guys are like all right in the office whilst trying to wave all these cars in Alton Towers, because that race didn't start till 10. So yeah, it was quality. So
no, it was good. It was an interesting race, wasn't it? Because like there was just so much like surging. Like it was like Ahmed would like Omar would just put like a surge in, and then they would follow him, and then he would like look behind and realise that he wasn't dropping them immediately compared to the other races. So, and I think that he was a little bit like, that was unfamiliar territory for him, because he's so used to just being so much further ahead than everybody else in the race, that from the gun he just goes for it, and he doesn't even need to try as hard as what he did in Fulham to like pull away from people. So even when he would put a surge in, and he would put a gap in of about 10, 20 meters. But then, as soon as he took his foot off the gas, they were there again. They were back.
So I guess the key was that Dylan Evans and Charlie Brisley were coming in fantastic form after.
Yeah, they did really well, to be fair.
So yeah, they just didn't let him off.
29, honestly, like 29 or 3, 29 or 8. Like honestly, like to have 3 guys under 29.10 on that course as well, because it was so twisty, bendy.
It's a bit twisty, but it's wide roads as well. So it should take the sting out of you a little bit, but I think obviously the whole buzz of the event and everything.
Oh no, definitely. But
event, so
you compare it to Jarrow, like where you're literally running in a straight line for pretty much half, most like 75% of the race. You don't need to worry about that. You're just chipping along. Comparing that, that's amazing.
Like 20 runs.
Yeah, George James was a really interesting one, because it was a late entry, and we talked about him before he actually entered, because George James we don't really know much about, and sort of out of nowhere ran 2:14.59 or whatever he ran. Anyway, just inside 2:15 at London Marathon, and everyone was like, "Oh, that's impressive," because this guy we don't really know much about him. Looked at his progress. His progress hasn't really raced much, even though he's been a runner for ages. Hadn't shown anywhere near that sort of like level. And then went to Frankfurt and ran 2:11, which was like, what? Yeah. Because that's just a huge performance. So yeah, he took it on at about 7k. He sort of like cruised through and took
around
it on.
then, yeah.
So
he was running even pace though. I think that's why, because I think he must have, I don't know what whether he was taking note of his heart rate, or he kind of just knew the pace he wanted to run at. So he was kind of, sometimes he was falling behind, but then he would almost reel them back in. But it was kind of coinciding when Omar was kind of just dropping when he was realising that he wasn't dropping people, or he was taking his foot off the gas slightly thinking he was gone. The other guys were reeling him in, and then I think Omar was thinking, I'll just sit a bit longer and not worry about pushing the pace on. And then he'd come to the front and he just went straight past them. He wasn't bothered, didn't phase them one bit. He just, like most people, that's the thing. It's like, when you were a kid, and I don't know if you used to get this, I'm sure you would have, and your dad or your coach would be like, if you're coming in a cross country race, if you come to them, go past them, don't sit on them, keep going. If you've caught someone, go straight. The best thing you can do is just go straight past them, rather than sitting on them and letting them catch their breath. And it was kind of like that, where he was just like, see you later. If you're going to slow, I'm not. It's not. I'm running my own race here.
Yeah, it was a very interesting watch. I think, I mean, just looking at it, we had 7. Not that everything should be super focused on time, but obviously part of the series was we've got this top flight bonus time that you get paid in the top 8 as long as you're under 30 minutes. And I guess the ambition for in year 1 was, could we get one race where we paid out all the way down to 8th place, and we nearly got there, because it is quite ambitious putting on all these new races and getting the quality. if you only had to recruit for one race, fine, but we've managed to recruit for like 12. And then getting in this race, we had 7 of the men under 30 minutes. That is class. Like, really, really happy with that. I guess next year we've got to try and get multiple races where all 8 of the top 8 are under 30 minutes.
Have you got the ladies' results?
Yeah, we have. So I guess another shout out there was Jonathan Escalante Phillips picking up more points.
Yeah.
And
there was Jonathan Escalante Phillips and was it Jamie D? There was a reel of, was it them two? Was it Jamie D or was it Dylan Evans? There was a reel of them.
Yeah, it was Dylan, I think, earlier on, wasn't it?
Race kits.
Oh, yeah, the race kit.
Yeah.
What was it?
They just both looked like they were just ticking over at a good pace. And their race kits both of those look class. I think...
Was that the Shaftesbury Barn?
Shaftesbury Barn at Vest.
Was it an all-in-one from Jonathan?
No, I don't think it was an all-in-one, but it was some garish shorts that were just,
you know
just a bit cool. A little bit cool.
Yeah. Better than the yellow shorts?
The yellow shorts, they hold a special place in my heart. They came along with a devastating kick. So
yeah. And then on the women's side, we had Transfora Musa, who just absolutely dominated on the ladies' side, 31.53. So she absolutely torched around there. And what was actually really nice was on her return back to Tanzania,
class.
There was loads
absolutely
of media.
Class, yeah.
She was met by like government representatives and stuff at the airport, and a lot of pomp and ceremony. So that was really nice. So very good to see her.
Who was it? It was is it Kasana? Where she's barely run actually, and she ran like really good.
Yeah, it was a solid field behind, but I guess Transfora was massively a class above the rest.
Oh, definitely, but
got the bonus.
I did look at one of the power of 10s, and I think it was Kasana, and I think her power of 10 showed that she was like had only been running like no more than a year or two, and like I'm sure it was her, and I think like she's just running odd races. And like I think if that's the case, 34.20 is just that's rapid.
Yeah,
honestly,
that is really
you
quick,
get some good quality training and you get some good quality racing, and you're knocking a slice off that.
I mean, you'd look at them times in like second and third, like they'd be up there in like any top flight fixture, wouldn't they? Like consistently, like you look at like our current leader, Kirsty Longley.
Kirsty's running 35s for her wins. So second and third would have won on times in other races. So the quality was definitely higher. I think obviously having the ball's rolling now with top flight, but also the ones that are in London just due to the population are always going to be a little bit more popular. Just because there's physically more people, there's more people there. So you put a race on in the middle of London, you're probably going to get more volume of runners. But thank you for everybody who came to support that one. It was the biggest strength and depth one yet, which leads us on to Ribble Valley for the series finale. It is absolutely
Cam, what are you saying about that? A mouth-watering lineup? Huh?
Well, one could say that, I mean,
I would describe it as a mouth-watering lineup in both men's and women's field.
So I guess we've
some
got
big names.
So much so, I've got the notebook out.
Yeah, we've got.
Have you been doing your research?
I've done a little bit.
You want to be careful.
I guess we've just got to say
Dangerous.
with Ribble Valley that obviously this is like Blackburn Harriers event that we work with Blackburn Harriers to
shout out to Blackburn Harriers.
Yes, it's up there, Blackburn.
So this is an event that we're working with Blackburn Harriers with. So it's not like Fulham, which was a totally new event. So this is already an established event with a good field. But the field that we've got now, because we've sort of brought top flight to Blackburn, to Ribble Valley, the field is even more stacked by, I would say, quite a significant factor, because we're bringing in people from further afield because of the market and stuff that we've done. So
some big names.
It's absolutely
just look at that. 23 runners under 30 minutes. I mean, let's just say 24 because 30 minutes dead pretty much for.
What do we
so
want to
far.
do? Do we want to start with the men's field or the women's field? Because they're both class.
To be fair, let's have a look at go back on the women's actually.
Just because it's the top of the screen, we'll start with the men's, and then I don't need to mess up my mouths. You're saying 23 men under 30 minutes. That doesn't include Jake Whiteman. So let's start there. So Jake Whiteman is running, and obviously we all know he was the world champion at 1500 metres in 2022. This year, he's had a good season, but I think some injury issues in there. But 3:47 mile, 1:44 800, 3:32 1500, 13:53. He hasn't raced since June. He has run Ribble Valley before, so he knows the course. You just can't write off Jake. So it doesn't matter who else is in this race. He could be up there and win it.
Yeah.
He's one of the best athletes in the world.
Well, that season he ran the Worlds. He won it,
Yep.
obviously. He picked up a medal at the Commonwealths.
Yep.
And he picked up a medal at the Europeans over 800 as well. Like 3 major champs there, he's medaling in all of them. But I mean, obviously the Worlds was like, you know, the creme de la creme and that.
Yeah.
I think did he get a bronze in the Commonwealths? Was it in a
Bronze,
silver in
yeah.
the Euros over 800?
Yeah, I think he was a little bit flat, wasn't he, by the time the Commonwealths came around?
Yeah, I think his main
can't
goal
fault him
was
as well, like-
You just won the world championships.
Yeah.
Yeah, but to come away
Exactly.
from winning the world championships and celebrating and
Yeah.
all the media and everything that comes with it, and
Yeah.
then still coming out and getting bronze. I mean, it wasn't like it was he was miles behind either. He only got took over in the last like 20
Yeah.
meters.
Big question though, if he was on this podcast now, would he be the quickest 10k runner on paper in the room?
No,
No.
who is? What have you
that
run?
would be me.
What's Jake ran? 30 minutes and 9 seconds? Something
Yeah,
like that,
30
yeah?
or
What
9.
for you? What's yours?
It's 29:30.
Yeah.
29:45 in old school as well before the new shoe. So Callum Hawkins, it's a little bit of time now since he was at his very, very best. So obviously he was 4th in the World Championships.
2017, wasn't it?
2017,
Yeah.
2019, was 8th in the Olympics in 2016, ran 2:08 for the marathon.
Yeah, he was 4th, wasn't he?
4th in
Fourth
the
in the
Worlds.
Worlds.
He was 4th in the
Oh,
Worlds
yeah,
twice
okay, I'm
and
getting
8th
it
in
up,
yeah.
the Olympics.
Research.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
need to sort that out. Like, to be fair, sorry, Callum.
So he ran 2:15 in New York Marathon and he won the Great Scottish Run. So he's coming back into some form. But I know obviously after, if you remember that Commonwealth Games, he like overdid it, didn't he? And like really badly hit the wall and was all over the road and never seemed to fully recover from then. But at his best on the road is a 28:02.
28:02.
He's
ran
an animal, man.
60:00, hasn't he, for the
Yeah.
half marathon as well? So if it would be fantastic to see Callum back at his best.
Have you seen
don't
his
know if he's
another
gonna,
though?
but-
Have you seen his training before? Like when he's in full flow, it's mental. Go on his Strava. I remember sitting there with a few athletes like years ago when I was in Fulham remote, and I remember someone showing me his Strava, and I remember just being like, "What the hell is this?"
Just
Like,
keeps running really fast, doesn't he?
I was just like, it was like I've
What,
never
like big volume and fast? Or
Oh yeah, like honestly, I would like.
What do you reckon, what miles per week? What are you saying?
I don't know about the miles per week. Obviously, he had a lot because he was training for marathon, but you know, like he's like hardcore. Like it's like
It was
impressive.
a lot
Strikes
of
me as a
fast
tough
running.
runner though.
Oh,
as well.
he's
he can
like
just-
you have to be to do
Well,
the
I
training
think-
he was doing. Like
I think
yeah,
a lot of marathon runners are like
yeah,
next level
yeah.
toughness, but
Yeah. But he's just a class act,
Maybe
isn't
too
he?
tough for his own good.
yeah. But I mean, even then, like we're saying, like he's on a comeback trail now by the looks of things.
Yeah.
He's still clocked a 29:45 this year, so
Yeah.
you'd imagine he's building and
I mean, he's been
building
on
it.
for years as well,
If
remember?
everything's going smoothly, that should go out the.
Yeah.
That should get blown out the water.
It's also when we've got to note as well, like when athletes are coming back from long term injury, you just don't know where they are with their training as well. Like
Yeah.
he might just be still building in,
Yeah.
not doing much. It wouldn't surprise me if that's the case. He's just getting back into racing, and when he actually hits full flow again, you know, he's obviously an extremely talented runner. So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I think
I'll
it's
be interested to see how
important-
he's progressed more going into this race.
Yeah, it's important to note that these guys who we're talking about, Callum and Jake, they have come to us to enter in a very, very recently. So they are obviously ready to race if they're knocking on the door asking if they're going to race.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that tells you something for me.
You know what strikes me about this? I'm just looking at this field here. The third person we're going to mention is, like, it just shows the standard here, is Johnny Mellor, who's like a 2:09
This
marathon runner. 2:11 in New York, and sub 29 minutes. 4 years in a row, 28:30, and he's like our third athlete that we're mentioning on this. He's been like a talent for years as well. I remember like racing him over 1500 meters, like in the juniors. Like he's an absolute beast. So
yeah, he's won as well here before, so he knows the race well. There's some others who've got the bit between the teeth. So Callum Johnson ran 28 last year. Callum was 6th at the European Cross Trials and I guess somewhat controversially not selected. Another interesting comeback is Adam Craig. So 28:32. So he hasn't ran since Armagh last year. Right, so he ran 13:49 in Armagh, and he'd ran a 2:13 in Valencia in December 2022, and then has been out with like injuries and stuff for ages. So again, another one who's messaged saying, "I'm coming back, I'm racing." Okay. So a classy runner.
Inverclyde AC, has he always been there?
I think so. Yeah.
He's Scottish, yeah.
Yeah.
He moved. So he was in Scotland, like training and racing. Then he obviously got offered a New Balance contract with New Balance Manchester. And then he moved down to Manchester. So that's why
I'm getting there.
His association but I guess when you're like racing at like his level and running, especially in a lot of road races, you don't tend to run with your club vest anywhere.
Yeah.
You tend to always just wear like your New Balance vest. That's probably why you rarely see him in it.
So a few others mentioning Scottish athletes. So Scott Sterling is another like 28:40. He's 30:01 this year, but he ran 28:51 at Highgate. Ran in the World Cross in 2024, but 32nd at Liverpool. He's been off the boil since the summer.
Yeah, I've seen a few recent results I've seen you before.
On the way back up?
There must have been something going on. I mean, you never know with the results what they're doing around it. Like, I've seen a few park runs around 15 minutes. He might have done a session. He might have been part of a session. You never know, but you can only take from that what you can see really on there.
That's 5. I can count, can't I? That's 5 guys with a sub 29 road PB, and then you could add on to that Cameron Allen, who's ran 28:37 on the track last year as well.
Yeah.
6 guys under 29 minutes in the field. It's class. We've also got, without going into too much detail now, Rich Allen is just won at Winslow in good form. Jonathan Escalante Phillips has performed many times in the series.
Looking forward to seeing the race kit.
Yeah. There's a couple of other standouts I'd picked out. So Jacob Can, 3:41 1500 runner and 13:53, and then 8th at the Euro Trials. So that's somebody who's going to be extremely dangerous. Got Matt Ramsden, who's one of 3 leading Blackburn Harriers in there, along with Daniel Beberton and Robert Warner-Judd. But Matthew Ramsden is due a big 10k PB. So he's PB'd across the board this year, and been like 13:49, 13:51 recently at Podium. And then our mate Larry Mack, who on paper over 10k you'd say isn't up there with these guys, but then very recently just ran a 48-minute 10-mile race, Brampton to Carlisle. So I think that's another wild card to really upset the apple cart.
Right, on the tone of international athletes, we weighed in the top spot with Jess Warner-Judd with a road PB of 30 minutes and 38 seconds.
It's mental, isn't it?
Which
That's
puts
so
her number 3 on the all-time list. I think there's only Eilish and Radcliffe ahead of her.
Yeah.
So that's an insane time.
Incredible, isn't it?
30 minutes, 38. And I know maybe there was some troubles of the summer months, but she had a solid run, I would say, at Liverpool. Probably not by her high standards.
I guess it shows she's on the way back, though, doesn't it?
Exactly, yeah. So, yeah, another one to watch out for, like an Olympian. Seasoned international athlete.
Yeah, early in the year then, so 30:38 and 67:06 half marathon. So she's number 1 ranked in the UK over 10k and half marathon. Has then had a bit of a dip in the summer with like a health issue, and then has come back to Liverpool, and she's the course record holder. She knows it. She's Blackburn Harriers. It's hard to see past her for the win, but she's definitely not going to have it our own way, because we've got, I need to count here.
This
1,
is
2,
unbelievable,
3,
this,
4,
yeah.
5, 6, 7, 8 ladies under 33 minutes.
Yeah. And all within about like 30, I think we looked at 31 seconds of each other. That's, for them, that group have got a phenomenal opportunity to race each other and really drag them times down, because that getting that quality in this kind of field, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess one of the key things here is there's so many of them in their best form. So Lauren Hayes, although a PB wasn't from this year at 10k, but yeah, she's just PB'd in the Great North Run, PB'd at 5k. She won a big trail race at Lady Bower. She's just been racing and running well all year. You got Philly Bowden, who has smashed PBs from I noticed 3k, 5k, 10k, half marathon, and then in Berlin Marathon ran 2:25. Which is 10th of the UK all-time list.
That's insane.
And we're mentioning these before. The fourth person to get mentioned on PBs is Amy Eloise Neal, who's European champion at 3K, and that's the fourth mention.
Yeah, Olympian.
Yeah, so...
It was also won a top flight event earlier. Aintree, was it?
She won it. She won at Aintree. Was down to run at Fulham, but for whatever reason couldn't run. But yeah, I mean, she's another like Olympian, European champion. She ran 32:39 this year at Altrincham, which is a run-through one, but it's actually quite hilly, that course. So yeah, to run that fast on that time, that was worth quite a bit more, to be honest.
She's worth a lot faster than what her PB is on paper.
Yeah,
definitely,
yeah,
because
Altringham's not an easy course.
Yeah.
And actually she was second in the race. So it's not like she was in a group being pulled around there.
I don't know how her training's going, but obviously she's not focusing on the shorter events anymore. So like when she gets into full flow of like concentrating on, you know, longer events, if she starts committing to say like 10Ks, half marathons and marathons, that'll come down, I think, loads.
Yeah.
Like she's a class act.
So we got Emily Hager-Kearney, who after finishing third in Newcastle whacked like 2 minutes off her best or something, or massively improved on Newcastle to run 32:42 at Trafford. Has also ran PBs over 5k, half marathon in Valencia. Races a lot, so is in good racing shape. And just to quickly move through a few of these, there's some like Rebecca Murray and Molly Williams who haven't raced 10k this year, but Molly Williams was third in Ribble Valley last year.
Yeah.
Ran well early on in the season. Rebecca Murray's just was 15th at Liverpool.
Yeah, it's good to see them back, to be fair.
So she's coming back as well. So a lot of runners who are coming back to form. The last one under 33 minutes was Anna Bracegirdle, who PB's from 2022, but still 34 this year, and yeah, some solid run-outs right the way through.
Got to mention our champ, haven't we?
Yeah, so Kirsty Longley can't be overhauled in the series. Hopefully she'll have another run-out. She wasn't sure if she could definitely make it because she had like a family holiday and stuff planned as well.
Dubai? From what she was telling me.
She
was going to Dubai.
I think she didn't want the pressure to be on.
Yep.
But knowing Kirsty, I think she'll turn up to celebrate the series win. A few other, I guess, notable mentions. Charlotte Dannant was 8th in the NCAAs in 2022. 17th at Liverpool cross country. So is this a bit of a return to form there? And another couple just to mention before getting too bogged down with stats is, although we said Kirsty's won overall, Millie McNiceby can actually go into second place overall, because this is going to be her third race of the series. So it'll be interesting points-wise because she's actually tied on points with Cara Mackenzie-Tate. So we'll have to look at the count back. And yeah, provided she runs, if she picks up a point, she'll overhaul. But I think on count back, she'd probably win as well because she's won in a head-to-head. And then there was a couple of in the overall series on the men's side that we picked out. Most notable ones are Rich Allen and Jonathan Escalante-Phillips. So Rich Allen can jump up places if he's 7th or better. So if he's 7th or better, he'll move up, but he would need a second place to move into second. And Jonathan, I can't remember what he's got to do, but I think, 4th. If he's 4th, he would overhaul Doug Musson, because he's already ran 3 races, so he would have to replace his lowest score. So yeah, there are some movers and shakers. I think Alex Brown, Matt Leigh and Jason Bennett can also move and change their position, depending on the result at Ribble Valley, which will be an interesting race within a race, which I guess is what we wanted at the start of the series.
Jeez.
That is exactly what we'd said.
Bruni's done well.
Yeah, so I think, I know, so Joe Armstrong at the minute is flying, but isn't going to be going to Ribble Valley.
How many has he done?
To Barcelona. But he's sitting in the top 10, but he's only done 2 races, so he's not going to get his 3rd. So
You have to do the 3, don't you, to get paid?
So Brownie's going to take his place in the top 10.
Nice.
Which will be good. But yeah, looking forward to it. It's going to be an absolute belter. So we'll have the live stream again. We've got Danny on the bike, Jason on the bike. I'm going to be on site, running around Brandon and doing whatever.
Are you?
You two will be
in the box with me? Oh yeah.
Maybe Stacey as well. We'll see.
Yeah.
Was Stacey aware?
I guess we'll find out. Won't
She
we?
will be. She doesn't live in the UK.
Yeah, she's probably on
No,
holiday.
I think you mean is she going to be aware if she's here?
Yeah. A top flight flying Stacey in for it.
You will fly
She's
her
going
in
to grace
from
me and
where-
Cam with her
and then
presence.
fly her straight back out with the next holiday destination.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, can't wait. So yeah, we'll see you there.
Predictions?
And I guess predictions, and then Happy New Year. Predictions. Let's
go ladies first.
We'll have to
Ladies
do quick
first.
fire.
We're just going to do winner. Just do the winner.
Yeah, but yeah.
Winner. I'm gonna go Amy Eloise Neal.
Cam, you go.
Yeah, same. That's what I was thinking. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah. I'm going with Amy.
No, pressure's on here.
Got to go back in Amy.
Just because she's been in form, I might go Philly Bowden.
No, that's a good shout.
Knocking PBs out left, right and centre. So, yeah, Philly Bowden for the win.
Yeah, I'm surprised none of us went for Jess Judd there, because she is obviously the fastest on paper. I think it's just that she's missed quite a bit of racing, hasn't she? And
Oh yeah.
it is
I think she still. I think she
hard
could
to
still
judge.
win. To be fair.
Yeah.
And she's still you would never. You don't count Gesture out. Yeah.
It wouldn't be a
Warnages.
surprise if she won. I've seen a few things from Amy Eloise Neal this year, like at that one at Altrincham in particular, where
Yeah,
it made me
she's
just
a
think she's got the quality to win that. On the men's side,
Cam, you go first, lad.
Oh dear. This is a tough one.
should have gone Cam last.
Yeah, do you want to come back to me? I can't make my mind up.
You know
here.
what?
This is the fields that I saw.
I have made my mind up, and I'm going with Johnny Mellor.
Okay.
Because I think he's won it before.
Yeah.
You know what you're going to get.
How long ago was New York Marathon?
He was October.
Okay.
Johnny Mellor is a class athlete, and somebody's going to have to run faster than 20 or 30 to beat him. So that's why I'm saying Johnny. Pressure.
You know what? When I first looked at this list, this athlete didn't jump out at me as winning. But I'm looking at it there. I feel like Callum Johnson is going to be running.
Man possessed.
Yeah, I feel like he's got a lot to prove, and I just feel like that sometimes gives you a little edge when the chips are down in a race and you've got to dig in and you're in the hurt locker. I don't know, maybe that's the kind of thing. He might be able to pull something else out there. I'm going to go Callum Johnson because he's got the pedigree. 28 on the road.
Yeah.
So we know he can run quick, and he's won before, and he's ran 29-28, so maybe not as quick as some of the season's best in there, but yeah, I feel like Callum Johnson is the man to do it.
Go on, Cam.
Do you know what? I'm going to go with. I'm going to agree with you, Brad. I think I'm going to go with Colin Johnson. Now, the reason being, First of all, yeah, he's obviously got a lot of anger to take out on racing at the minute. I know he's in good shape. He's not, I think he as everyone, we certainly know, is the guy works as in tax in a Big Four consultancy firm. So he's literally struggling to get his training in most of the time because he's working so much. Christmas holidays, man's gonna have time to rest up, get himself into get some recovery in. So I think we expect a big performance from him. I mean, it's too tight to tell. That's why it took me so long.
I know it is.
To be honest, it is actually anyone's game.
Because you can pick any. You can pick. There's a few names on there that you can easily make a case for.
I feel like, to be honest, I feel like Jake's good.
Yeah, Michael, you going for? Come on.
Come.
Yeah.
That was a good shout. To be fair, I feel like Jake could shock everyone.
I know.
And I said not even shock, but we kind of expect him to do well. But he's just come back off Flagstaff from a good camp, and he always runs well when he comes back from Flagstaff. So.
Best dressed on the day though, Jonathan Escalante Phillips, hands down, wins it every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Hopefully, it's not too cold to wear the short.
Never too cold for that, is it?
Yeah. Yellow ones. Okay, so as this is the last podcast of the year, we're going to have a one standout moment. What is your standout moment from Top Flight this year? It is tough.
There's too many to choose from. It's harder than picking a winner at Ribble Valley. Standout moment. I mean, there's been a lot. I like the work we've done on the track. That sticks in my mind as being something, something taken up a notch and something new and fresh. The full series has been great. Standout moment from the races, though. I feel like I talk about him a lot. Jonathan Escalante Phillips's kick at Battersea Park stands out because it was a good quality race anyway, and it looked like Alfie Manthorpe had it sewn up. And he's a quality operator as well. And he looked as though he was just putting the hammer down, and then out of nowhere, Escalante Phillips unleashed this kick, and you can tell by me on commentary that I was taken back by it, and I was invested in the race. So for me, that's my standout moment of the Top Flight series.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it light-hearted because, to be honest, I do think that's a standout moment from the series was his kick, because that was kick of the year. That was impressive. What I will follow down your route, Red. I'll go for the first one of the year, Newcastle 10K. Callum Johnson battling it all the way down, because to be honest, it was tactical for the whole race. No one wanted to take it on. It was so windy, but that final 200 meters was just a belter, wasn't it? So
electric.
It was electric. Cam Allen pipped it on the line. What a race!
Yeah, and it would be very fitting if them two were battling to the line here as well.
Yeah, that would be class.
That would totally make the series, wouldn't it? If we
what a way to sign it off, eh?
Yeah, I guess that was good because it was the first. Obviously, it was the first race, and there was loads of stuff going on behind the scenes to try and make it happen and messaging people. So then it came together, and having such a mint race, and managing to get the commentary added into the live stream and things like that as well. All them things were class. I guess a few standouts for me is I'll always chuckle when I see the little video of Jamie in that shopping trolley at Battersea Park. That just going along some trolley trying to take some good pictures. So yeah, that made me chuckle. And then I guess when he hasn't been mentioned yet on today's, but Jason Big Bad Bennett. So the reason I'll say Jason is because obviously this idea of having a series and getting people back to do more races, Jason was an early adopter on that.
Yes.
And he came, not just him, there's a few others, there's Sam Gabriel-Selassie, quite a few others now who've done multiple races. But it just meant a lot when they came back for the second race and then the third race, because it meant that they liked what we did and they were saying, we'll have more of that. And so I guess from that side of things, that's that like meant something to us.
Oh, you know what? Just the more we talk about it, the more I keep thinking about other highlights. I like the way that Doug Musson ghosted me for months about answering whether he'd had a palm or not.
And then you found out. Then you found out
he's vegetarian.
6 months down the line. You wonder why? Because he's vegetarian.
Now I know why he was ghosting me with it. But yeah, that was pretty funny as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a good year.
Yeah.
Well done.
Cheers, and that's
Well done.
we'll make some more memories next year.
Yes,
then
let's make
2025.
memories.
Yeah.
Let's go.